The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, written by Stephen R. Covey. In this video, we've summed up 8 lessons that show how to solve personal and professional problems in a whole, integrated, principle-based way. Introduction. Why should I care? A short look at a classic self-help book. A desk in the corner. A family with love. A deep sense of having done something well. We all want to reach certain goals. But even the smartest people sometimes feel like their goals are out of reach. If only there was a way to find out what we're really good at. It turns out that there is. You just need to get into the right habits to get the most out of yourself and your life. The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen R. Covey is one of the most important self-help books of all time. In this summary, we'll go over the ideas from that book. It's been at the top of bestseller lists for decades, and it's also the most read book in the summary library. This is true, and there is a very good reason for it. In this summary, we'll give you some wise advice and helpful examples that will help you take control of your habits and build a way of life that will lead to success. Lesson 1. To be successful, we need to form habits that are in line with good ideas. Imagine you're going to a city you've never been to before. You don't know the streets, and the signs are written in a language you don't know. How will you figure out where you are? And how will you get where you want to go? If you ask a stranger on the street for directions, they might say, "Turn right," or "Take this bus." Yes, these things might help in the short term. But at some point, you'll get lost again. Finding a map would be a better plan, wouldn't it? If you have a true picture of the world around you, you can always find your own way. Well, getting around in life is the same. Even though some small things can be helpful, it's much more important to learn a few fixed rules and make it a habit to follow them. When author Stephen Covey looked at self-help advice from the past 200 years, he noticed an interesting pattern. He found that most pieces of advice fell into one of 2 categories. The first is a person's own morals. This paradigm says that learning a set of tricks and techniques is the key to success. It says that you'll reach your goals if you talk the right way and do the right things. This advice is appealing, but most of the time it leads to small changes that don't change things very much. The second one is not the same. It is based on good morals. This way of thinking says that there are basic rules to success. These rules don't fit any one situation in particular. They are deep, true facts about the world that don't change. If we make these rules part of who we are, we'll get results that last. So how does this model work in the real world? So, let's say you want your marriage to be better. The personality ethic would tell you to change the way you talk to people or go on a certain type of vacation. The character ethic, on the other hand, tells you to work on yourself. It says that to have a good marriage, you need to develop a character based on things like fairness, empathy, and trust. This is, of course, easier to say than to do. If you want to build a good character from the inside out, you need to change how you always see and interact with the world around you. In short, if you want to make changes based on the character paradigm, you need to form good habits. In the lessons that follow, we'll talk about each of these habits in turn. Lesson 2. Be in charge of how you react to the world. A simple question that has puzzled scientists, philosophers, and regular people for thousands of years is, what makes you you? Some people say that it's all about genes and that our lives are determined by human evolution and our DNA. Some people say our parents. People say that the most important things are who raised us and how they did it. Still others say that our environment and the things going on around us are the most important things. In reality, none of these answers are enough. All of them are too deterministic, which means that they say that outside forces control our lives. But people who are very good at what they do tend to look at the world in a different way. They realize that we can't control everything, but we can control ourselves, which brings us to our first habit. Self-awareness is one of the most important ways in which people are different from other animals. Most of what animals do depends on what happens outside of them. Most of the time, when they meet something in the world, they react in a way that was programmed into them. Humans, on the other hand, can stop, think, and decide how to act. When you're proactive, you can choose how to interact with the world around you and make your own decisions about your future. For instance, you can let unexpected rain ruin your picnic plans. Or you can consciously choose to think about the good things. Even though it's storming, you don't have to worry about it. Instead, you can spend your time with your friends. This works even when things are really bad. Take the well-known psychiatrist Viktor Frankl, for example. He was locked up in a concentration camp during World War II. Even though his tormentors controlled everything outside of him, he realized he was still in charge of how he reacted. He didn't give up hope, though. Instead, He spent each day imagining a better future in which he could teach students how he had survived the horror. This gave him the strength to get through it and helped him start his career as a teacher. With practice, you can also gain the ability to choose how you react to any kind of trouble. When you run into a problem at work or in your personal life, think hard about what you should do. Don't give in to your first thoughts right away. Instead, take a step back, think about what's really causing the problem, and then focus on what you can actually change. Lesson 3. Start every task with a goal in mind. Let's start with a thought experiment that is a little bit morbid. Imagine that it's 3 years from now and that, sadly, you've died. Yes, it's a sad situation. Now, though, all of your friends, family, and co-workers are at your funeral. Each person in turn steps up to the podium and gives a speech about the person who died. How do you want people to describe you? This is hard to think about, but it can teach us something. All of a sudden, the unimportant parts of your daily life start to fade away, and your real priorities become clear. Now you're thinking about the people you love, what you've done, and the kind of world you want to leave behind. This sad experiment shows how important it is to think about the end result when planning your life. Because of this, highly effective people make it a habit to think things through. This leads us to our second habit, which is to start every task with a goal in mind. Every time you do something, no matter how big or small, you're really doing it twice. Before you can actually do something, you have to first think about it and make a plan. These plans can be short and casual, like a mental list of things you need to do, or they can be long and detailed, like a business plan. No matter what, it's important to think about the future because it helps you figure out what to do in the present. Imagine building the house of your dreams. Before putting up the walls or the roof, it's a good idea to draw up a plan. After all, if you don't have a clear idea of what you're building, the building process will be a mess. You'll make mistakes that will cost you money, waste good materials, and probably not be happy with the end result. Short-term projects are an easy way to use this principle. For example, in the business world, it's always a good idea to plan out your week in advance and have clear goals for what you want to accomplish by the end of each quarter. But planning for the long term is where this habit really pays off. To do this, make a personal mission statement that describes the life you want to live. Do some deep thinking and write down what you really want to accomplish, what values you want to uphold, and what you consider to be real success. Use this document to keep track of your progress and help you decide what to do. When you know where you want to go, it's much easier to keep going in the right direction. Lesson 4. First things first. Monday morning at 9 o'clock, you're at the office. The phone is ringing, the printer is jammed, and you need to write a report and make a project plan. And wait, your boss is at your door knocking because he wants to talk to you. What should you do first? Even if you know what your goals are, it can be hard to know when to take the right steps. The third habit, first and foremost, is here to help. To put it another way, put tasks in order of importance and how quickly they need to be done. How should we do it? There are many ways to manage your time. Some people say you should make lists, while others say you should plan your tasks ahead of time. But the real key to getting things done is to organize your tasks by how important they are. You can do this with a time management matrix. A time management matrix is a grid where you put all of your tasks in order of how important and how quickly they need to be done. Get a piece of paper and draw a grid with 4 boxes that is 2 by 2. Quadrant I is the top left box. It is for tasks that need to be done right away and are important, like a sudden emergency that can't be ignored. Quadrant 2 is the top right box. This is where you put tasks that are important but don't need to be done right away. Quadrant 3 is in the bottom left corner. This is for tasks that need to be done right away but aren't as important, like answering the phone. Quadrant 4, in the bottom right, is for things that are neither important nor urgent, like playing solitaire. Once you've done this, it's easier to know where to put most of your time and energy. Even though the things in Quadrant I are important, it's the jobs in Quadrant 2 that should get the most focus. Most people don't pay attention to these because they don't seem as important. But they're still important, and they're often the ones that save the most time. If you take care of them early on, you can help make sure that no new things show up in Quadrant I. No one can do everything by themselves, of course. Putting first things first means that you sometimes have to give things to other people that don't need your personal touch. Just don't try to do too much. Instead of giving out tasks, ask for specific results. In the end, what matters most when it comes to how well something works is how it works. Lesson 5. Always try to find a way for everyone to win. You're at a football game for the title. It's the season's last competition. Only one person can win and only one person can lose. One team gets the trophy, and the other team, no matter how well they played, goes home empty-handed. Not all parts of life are like this, where only one team can win and the rest must lose. In fact, most situations can be good for both parties if you think in a collaborative way. This is why the fourth habit of successful people is to make sure that everyone wins. As we go through life, we build our relationships on certain assumptions that shape how we interact with each other. Many people have a worldview that says you either win or lose. This means they see every interaction, whether it's personal, business, or something else, as a competition in which getting what you want means the other person can't get what they want. This paradigm is helpful in some situations, but terrible in others. It turns everything into a competition and turns people who could be friends into enemies. This leads to mistrust and discord, and in the end, both sides lose. For example, think about a sales team where the only person who gets a bonus is the best one. Everyone else gets nothing. This is a lose-lose deal that gives each player a reason to only care about himself. People who think this way might hide clues or, even worse, try to hurt each other. What happened? Fewer overall sales. There is another way, and it's called the win-win paradigm. This view of the world rejects competition in favor of working together. It tries to find solutions that are good for everyone. This could mean that the sales team won't get bonuses until everyone hits their own sales goals. So, if one salesperson does well, everyone does well. This arrangement is good for everyone because it makes people talk to each other and work as a team. It will also lead to more sales and happier workers overall. How can you make sure you always look for a situation where everyone wins? Think in terms of plenty. This way of thinking doesn't see good things like success, happiness, satisfaction, or even profits as rare. Instead, it knows that there will always be enough food for everyone. When you realize that you can always get more value, it's easier to find ways to work together to get it. When you have a win-win attitude, your biggest wins come when you realize you're all on the same team. Lesson 6. Make your relationship stronger by really getting to know other people. You can't make out what people are saying, you always have to squint, and you can't tell a friend from 10 steps away. It's time to go to the eye doctor. Now you know how most of these trips go. As the doctor tries on different lenses, you read letters from a chart. You'll find the right lens for you in the end. But what if the doctor did something different? What if she just gave you her glasses and said, "These work for me," instead of testing your eyes? Well, you'd still have blurry vision, and you'd probably find a new eye doctor. It sounds crazy, but many people are like that doctor when it comes to communicating. They offer answers before they really know what the problem is. The fifth habit of people who are very good at what they do is that they listen before they talk. Good communication is the key to any relationship that is worth having. Most people only work on their speaking skills, which means they only want to be understood. But that's only half the story. To really build relationships, you also need to understand. And if you want to know someone well, you have to learn how to listen. Of course, there's more to listening than just hearing. It means that you really understand what someone else is thinking and feeling. The best way to do this is to learn to listen with empathy. For this kind of listening, you need to understand both what someone is thinking and how they feel. It means not only listening to what they say, but also figuring out what they really mean. One way to do this is to wait to give advice until you understand what the other person is trying to say. So instead of telling your own story in response to someone else's, try to figure out how the other person is feeling. This is called reflecting and can be as simple as saying, "That sounds frustrating," or "You think this is important." This keeps the focus of the conversation on the person you want to get to know. Still, this is not a trick or shortcut. You have to really care about other people for empathetic listening to work. To do it right, you need time, work, and practice. But if you try it, people will notice and appreciate your effort. In fact, they will often show you the same kindness and respect in return. Your relationships will become more open, satisfying, and important as time goes on. Lesson 7. Create powerful synergy by making it easy for people to talk about their ideas. Let's go for a walk in the rainforest. It has a lot of life and beauty. Why is this place so full of life and green? Is it the sound of the birds singing? The ants in the dirt? Maybe it's the sun shining through the leaves on the tree above? We can't just give credit to one thing, no. Really, all of these things are linked. The complex web of interactions in life is what makes it possible for such ecosystems to form and thrive. In nature and between people, the whole is usually bigger than the sum of its parts. This is called synergy, and highly effective people are always looking for ways to unlock its power and use this sixth habit, encouraging the open exchange of ideas to create powerful synergies. It can be hard to explain what synergy is, but in the simplest terms, it is the creative force that comes out when different people work together well. Everyone is different, and everyone has their own set of strengths and weaknesses. So, when groups work together, they can actually build on each other's good qualities and make their bad ones less noticeable. In the end, there is a better whole. This can happen just about anywhere. For example, think about a classroom where students are free to talk to each other and share their ideas. How will things go? Well, some students will ask thought-provoking questions, others will give helpful answers, and still others will bring the conversation to a higher level with personal insights. In the end, you may go off course, but everyone will still learn more. To encourage synergistic energy, you need to make sure everyone feels safe and respected. To do this, you need to use other skills, like thinking about how everyone can win and listening with empathy. When these habits are used, people are more likely to share ideas, build on each other's contributions, and value the different skills that others bring. David Lilienthal was able to do it. After World War II, he was in charge of the Atomic Energy Commission in the United States. There, he put together a group of very smart people. Still, each expert had strong ideas that sometimes went against what others thought. So, Lilienthal set up group meetings every week for the next few weeks so that each team member could talk about his hopes, fears, and reasons for working on the program. These open conversations helped people feel like they could trust and understand each other. In the end, the commission created a culture that was both very creative and very productive. Synergy happens when people in a group talk to each other and help each other out. This is like a rich ecosystem with many species that all depend on each other. Lesson 8. Take care of yourself by setting aside time for it. Imagine you are a hard-working lumberjack. You go into the forest every day to start cutting down trees. The first couple are simple. It falls when you hit it 3 times. But as time goes on, you start to see a disturbing pattern. It takes more chops to bring down each tree. By the end of the week, it takes all afternoon to knock over a single trunk. What's the matter? It's an easy mistake to make. You have been working so hard that you forgot to take care of your tools. Once smooth and sharp, your trusty axe is now dull and useless. Even the most driven and dedicated workers will eventually burn out, as this story shows, if they don't take breaks. Because of this, the 7th and final habit of highly effective people is all about rest and getting ready to go again. Take care of yourself by setting aside time for it. As you try to reach your goals, it's easy to get so focused on what other people think and do that you forget to take care of your own health. Of course, this is a dangerous mistake, because if your body, mind, and spirit aren't in good shape, all your other good habits will start to fall apart. Because of this, it is important to spend time and energy constantly renewing yourself in 4 ways. The first dimension is the physical one. This means taking care of your body by working out often, eating right, and getting enough rest. Getting used to these good habits will give you the stamina to keep them for a long time. The second part is the spiritual part. Getting in touch with yourself, your values, and the beauty in the world around you is the key to renewing this dimension. Take a few minutes each day to think, pray, or meditate in a quiet place. You'll find that these habits keep you calm and ready to deal with problems. Mind is the third dimension. Your brain needs to work out just like your body does. Always learn something new to keep your mind sharp. Try learning a new skill, reading a new book, or learning a new language. These hobbies make your life better and keep you interested in the world. The social and emotional parts of your life make up the 4th and final dimension. You don't have to give up your social life if you want to be efficient. In fact, it's very important to take care of both your personal and professional relationships. Check in with your friends and family often, talk to your coworkers, and play with your kids. If you promise to keep each of these things going, you'll keep getting the benefits. If you make this a habit, you'll always be ready to act like a good person. In conclusion, the main point of this book's message: self-improvement isn't about learning a bunch of shortcuts and tricks that only work in certain situations. Instead, the best way to improve your life and get things done is to form good habits that are based on guiding principles. If you want to be a good person, you should: 1. Take charge of how you react to the world and do it proactively. 2. Start every task with a goal in mind. Set priorities by putting the most important things first. 4. Always try to find a way for everyone to win. 5. Make stronger relationships by really getting to know other people. 6th, create powerful synergy by making it easy for people to talk about their ideas. 7 is the last point. Make sure you give yourself time. When you make these your own and work to become more committed to them over time, you'll slowly start to see the benefits of a good life. We're glad you watched. If you want to learn more and get a copy, you can use the link in the description box to buy one on Amazon. Please don't forget to follow, like, and tell your friends and family about this channel.